What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Oregon Live Show right here on the Oregon Channel, the voice of college football. I am just Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam, and tonight we have Derek and the guy that wants to be a Trojan, apparently, Trojan wannabe, aka Spaz. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. It's every week I kind of look forward to these Tuesday shows to see what Spaz's name of the week is gonna be. So Trojan wannabe, man. I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah, man, it's a good week. We just got done taking a look at the college football playoff ranking. Obviously, coming in at number 6 again this week. So we have no complaints here. Just got to keep taking care of business as we move forward.
It's that guy's fault. He did it.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, we know you're not good at the whole point and directional.
Don't blame me. You're the one who named yourself. It's not my fault. The any real thoughts, real quick? I don't want to take too much. We didn't have much last week to say about it. Does anyone have any final thoughts as to the Cal game last week? Kind of looking back at it, thinking about it really quickly. It was a beatdown, as expected. It just took a little longer to get to that point because of the weather, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, I think one thing we didn't really talk a whole lot about last week was how the weather could have affected the game, and I think we kind of saw that in the first quarter. We saw interceptions happen on back-to-back possessions between Oregon and Cal. Right away in the game, we saw a few fumbles. It was pretty sloppy in the first quarter, but I'm going to choose to give this team the benefit of the doubt for a slim margin of part of one game and say, they had to get their feet under them, just adjust to the elements a little bit. But, they took care of business. It's everything we've expected. I mean, just, I'm sure we'll get into our score predictions a little bit, but we all predicted a blowout right in this kind of ballpark of what the score ended up to be. So it was good, man. It's, I feel confident kind of heading into next week once again, just because, for obvious reasons. But yeah, we did everything last week that we needed to do against a Cal.
Damn Lanning running up the score. If he had just stopped. Spaz, any final thoughts on that one before we get into our big game of the week here?
No, I think it was, Derek pretty much had it right there, It's kind of ugly start, but with the elements and the way everything started that game, it kind of wasn't surprising. Both teams were just playing real sloppy. The weather was sloppy. The conditions were horrible. But about midway through the second quarter, everything started to change. The weather, everything, and so did the score. And you saw the results was a convincing 40-point win again.
That it was.
My only takeaway and concern from this game is hopefully today was just a rest bang-up day or something, but it was reported that Bucky Irving was not at practice today, and there's no word on why he was not at practice today.
We'll have to keep track of that.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch for the rest of the week. Hopefully it was just maybe he was banged up a little bit from the Cal game and needed an extra day of rest.
One thing I will say before we jump into it a little bit too much, Ben, on the injury front here is I will say, if we go back weeks prior, it's usually this Tuesday practice in particular where we see these missing bodies that end up playing later in the week. So once again, Dan's very tight-lipped about kind of any injury fronts that happen in there. But just in terms of what the team reporters and, kind of people who've been around that atmosphere thing, it sounds like it's a pretty standard thing in their eyes. Obviously, for all we know, Dan could come out and say, hey, Bucky has a hamstring injury that, he just battled through. But that's not the case as of this point. On the injury front, yeah, it's kind of, you got to take notice when somebody misses practice like that. But it sounds like on all fronts who know anything about the program, it sounds like it's just a standard thing here.
Well, we'll keep track of that because, yeah, I never heard anything. Nothing to.
Might have been his week off, for maybe. Tuesday practice.
Yeah. Nothing in the presser from Lanning, and no one asked anything. So it was like, okay. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll hear more tomorrow or Thursday. But as we move on from Cal for the final time as they go to dominate the ACC next year, we have to get into what I think they were hoping would not be still a rival against them annually. But we came along, baby. We came along. Introducing our guest tonight, Rick at LBC Trojan. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you.
It's a big week.
This is a big week. This is one of those weeks that I think at the beginning of the season everyone was looking forward to for different reasons. Originally, Oregon, Washington weren't going to go to the Big Ten. It didn't look like.
Right.
So maybe it's not as big in the sense of like the final time, because now we're all kind of the West Coast pod, so to say. But it's still always a big game every year. Oregon and USC get together.
Agreed. It's a big game for other reasons, especially for Oregon. I didn't catch the latest rankings. I think you guys are sitting at 6th in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
okay.
top 8 stayed the same, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was Texas and Alabama. Yeah, I think so. So that was the same as last week.
No need for me to watch those this year for obvious reasons.
Shots fired at yourself.
That was like on the Sunday night show we do. They were saying something, and Tim's like, "What's this weekly thing you guys talk about? I've never heard of it."
Right.
So, Rick, I know you have your own show, so please promote your channel. As you do, like we have you right here. Everyone can follow Rick on Twitter or X, whatever people want to call it these days. I think everyone always just says it, both of them at the same time. But you have your own YouTube channel where you do your tailgate and USC shows. So please definitely let everyone know where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. You can find me. I'm on the Voice of College Football USC channel. Post games last year and this year, right after every USC game with Tony Altimore and Tim Prangley Jr. So everybody on the Voice of College Football recognizes me from there. And beginning of October, I launched my channel. I had the full launch Notre Dame week, and you can check me out at LBC Trojan on YouTube. And so I usually do a pregame, which I'm going to have one tomorrow. And then I'll do a post-game wrap-up. This post-game wrap-up, all you need to know is Alex Cringe got fired. So check it out on there. Very thankful to all my friends and family and subscribers. We're already over 500, so it's a very successful month. And I like to tie in craft beer and, kind of the tailgate mentality. So tonight I'm actually, fellas, from Portland, Oregon, Great Notion Brewing. I like to say upgrade your tailgate. You guys are, you guys are a little bit younger than me, but life's too short to drink bad beer. And this is called a seedless. It's called Seedless. It's a tart ale, tart watermelon ale, 6% ABV. It's a sour beer. I'm trying to get into these. They're pretty good.
I don't know if Spaz is that much younger. I don't know if Spaz is that much younger than you.
But what I like to say is like, hey,
Probably
look,
not.
USC and Oregon had invested in their program. You guys invest in your buildings. Phil Knight, he's got bags. You got Lanning. We both pay for recruits now legally. So we're having good seasons. Or at least we were having a good season. But why are you going to drink the shitty beer? Why drink Bud Light? Why drink Natty Light? It's not quantity, it's quality. So buy a good beer. You only have so many of these home games a year, right? And if I was up there, I'd be drinking the IPA, but I would be passed out by the 7:30 kickoff on Fox, right?
Oh, God.
I'm going to be passed out Central Time, especially 9:30 here.
Exactly. So that's my whole thing, man. Is like I like to have every video. I've got a craft beer recommend to upgrade your tailgate, and because hey, it's about the experience. Tailgating friends, it's a lot of good time. So check out the channel.
Yeah, I always like the tailgates where people are friendly and they Yeah, come on over, come have a drink, come have some food, whatever. And then you get the ones that are like, oh, you can't come over here. It's private.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have on an Oregon fan on tomorrow. I'm not going to disclose his name right now. You'll just have to check on Twitter. I'll be kind of releasing it the time some point tomorrow, but it's going to be a great show. This guy's fun.
I have a couple guesses, but I won't say them openly.
An Oregon fan?
One of them is probably correct, but I won't say anything.
Could be.
Well, you already brought it up, and so that's one of the big. I think this is outside of just the relevance of the game, especially for Oregon going forward, because I think correct me if I'm wrong. I believe is Washington's already clinched basically a spot in the title game, unless they drop basically 2 to 3 games. They're pretty much in the title game. Oregon can't slip up again. We can't afford another loss at this point. Almost, maybe one, but it gets hairy then. So besides it being a big game in that one, the big question for Oregon and for USC is, as you mentioned, Grinch was relieved of his duties. What does USC expect of this defense at this point? Because that's been the downfall, you would admit. I mean, easily, that's been the downfall of the USC team this year.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And so what are we going to see from the USC defense? Pretty much the same. Nothing's going to change. We can't stop the run. We're not physical, don't know how to tackle. So it's a combination of scheme, players not understanding where they're supposed to be. We're always out of position. And Washington had the perfect game plan. I think Dan Lanning's going to do the same thing. I mean, we let Colorado almost put 200 yards on us running the ball. We've been making Heisman Trophy candidates every week. Go back to Bryson Barnes, the pig farmer. So that's part of my issue with USC this year. Everybody's going to say, well, yeah, it's Alex Grinch. Sorry. Last year, I questioned Lincoln Riley after the 6th game when we lost at Utah. And because of Lincoln Riley's play calling. And right then I kind of saw that I don't know if I really understand what he's doing, because when you go on the road and you're going to play in a hostile environment like Rice Eccles, you have to pack your defense in a run game. And we had a running game, but we didn't run the ball enough. And Utah scored at the end of the first half, got the ball in the second half, scored. They made adjustments. We made a first-round draft pick out of their tight end. I'm blanking on his name because I just wanted to forget it.
I know. I'm forgetting what his name is too. All of a sudden,
come to me right now in the middle of my sleep. But what's that, Spaz?
Cade, he's in Buffalo.
Yeah, he's in Buffalo. He just got his first touchdown like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So my point is that was a red flag. And then you saw what happened in the Pac-12 championship game. You saw what happened against UCLA, but we gave up 45 points in a win. And then Tulane was abysmal. So Lincoln Riley had a lot of, let's say, carte blanche, if you will. So there's a lot of people that didn't want Alex Grinch to return, but that kind of wasn't going to happen because really when he came aboard, there was a small recruiting class. We got a few players out of the transfer portal, but you give him another year to recruit and to get his players in the transfer portal. We thought we did. We got a lot of great players in the transfer portal, but this year, for whatever reason, it wasn't working out. And then I hold Lincoln Riley culpable, accountable, because your defense is suspect. We don't have a special teams coach. So you have to, as the head coach, and you're calling plays, you have to help out your defense with your play calling. How about run the frickin' ball and give them a break? And I didn't see that at Colorado. We didn't run the ball. The defense had an interception within their 25-yard line the first half. And what do? We run the ball one time, we pass for 3 times, and we score like in a minute and 15 seconds. People were beating me up saying, oh, you're complaining because we scored too fast? No. Check it out, man. You need to eat clock. Our best possession in the first half was over 6 minutes, and we punted. So, and then we stop them again, Colorado, and they punted, and we blocked the punt, and we got it within the 25-yard line. And what do? 1 run and 3 passes. We score like in a minute and 20 seconds. And we saw what happened with Colorado. They scored with a little bit of time left in the first half, and they almost came back in the second half. 3 more minutes, and they would have won that game. So part of it is that USC can run the ball. At least we think they can. I think there's been questions about the offensive line. So that maybe it's like we can't run the ball. Wondering why we wouldn't run the ball on somebody like Oregon. I mean, with somebody like Colorado. And then look what you guys did the following week. Right down their throats. So, and we saw what happened in Notre Dame. He should have been fired after Notre Dame, but he wasn't. And Lincoln Riley, in the press conference after the Washington loss, he didn't want to get into talking about the defense. And so, popular opinion that it wasn't his choice to make. But that was enough. Enough was enough. And you were like the 124th ranked defense in total yards. That's embarrassing. Totally embarrassing. I don't care if we're the number 2 offense in the country. It's ridiculous. It's not USC football.
Well, and that's why with the defense, with Grinch being gone, exactly what I was trying to tell with talk some other Trojan fans, not you specifically, obviously, is everyone's excited about next year, understandably, because now you can start looking at your new DCs, but it's still the same staff that was under Grinch, and I agree with you 100%. I don't even think it was Grinch. I think the staff there, honestly, defensively, probably doesn't know what they're doing. Because they're the position coaches, they have to teach people where to go. So I don't know if they're going to simplify their scheme this week, kind of go base defense. And that's why it's kind of an interesting what we're going to see this week. That's kind of the X factor almost in this game, is because we don't know what the defense will look like for USC.
Well, if I'm Dan Lanning, I run the ball down our throats and let's see if you can stop it. Got Bucky Irving and Jordan James. Just keep on running the ball, and if you can stop it, great. But then you mix in a little Bo Nix, and you keep USC's defense off balance. There's certain defensive backs that struggle at turning their hips and locating the ball, and we've had a number of pass interference holding calls, disjointed back there. We don't get enough pressure on the quarterback against the better teams. So if I'm Dan Lanning, he's already kind of been talking smack on Twitter about USC playing in this. They play 7-on-7 down there in LA, and we're doing the what'd you call that, Derek? The mod.
It was like a mod bucket or something like that. Yeah, it was a contact drill.
And rightly so. He should, because this is a huge game. This is a big game for Oregon. You're sitting at number 6. You need to put out a memorable game. You got to send a message, right? Most people are going to be asleep, but you want them to wake up and see the damage. So this is a huge stage for Oregon. Okay, you got all day recruiting up there. You won a lot of recruiting battles against USC with Mateo and Connerly. You got the transfer Gary Bryant Jr. So
who's going to want to have a big game against the team that initially gave him his initial scholarship? Absolutely.
And you're going to play USC right after Washington does, even though Washington was on the road and we're going to be at your place. Doesn't matter. The uneducated national media will go ahead and compare and contrast, because that's what they do. And in that case, Oregon loves it, right? And and you get a chance to go to the Pac-12 championship game. You get that much closer with a rematch with Washington, and it's style points. And the most points ever scored in this matchup was in 2012 when Oregon beat USC 62-51 at USC. So I could see Oregon trying to hang a 70, and they probably can. I could see Dan Lanning calling for an onside kick in the fourth quarter.
I really hope he doesn't. So far, he has
coach.
not done it this year. I really hope he does not try the onside kick again.
And USC won't be ready for it, potentially. And you got to figure, I don't think Caleb Williams is going to play this whole game. Because I think Oregon is going to have that much of a lead come the fourth quarter.
Well, that was going to be the other question, because there's been all that talk this week, and I'm not going to get into the whole post game of Caleb Williams on the sideline. I'm not going to get into that. That's everyone could take that for what it is, and that was the question though that came to us, like, is Caleb even going to play? I have a feeling yes, he's a competitor, but at the same time, you also go, is it worth it for him to play? And so it's always kind of one of those curious questions of like, is he even going to bother?
You got to understand, Caleb Williams is an incredible player, the best quarterback I've ever seen. And he was lights out against Washington. He's been lights out all year. So yes, people are going to say, oh, he was crying. People say he doesn't care, just like 2 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden he's crying, and this is the dude that paints his nails and this, that, and there. That guy cares. And I think what happened was he realized it's over. And how could it be over when he played the game of his life? And yeah, he made a couple of mistakes, but you know why? Because he has been on the whole year. The defense has not helped him out. Lincoln Riley has not helped him out.
Neither is his offensive line, yeah.
Well, yeah, we saw what happened at Notre Dame. And that's the problem with USC, and I don't see it changing. We've had 4 national stages to make a statement, and we haven't. We barely beat Colorado. That was the national stage at the time, if you recall, the big noon kickoff.
Yeah.
And then we go to Notre Dame, primetime NBC, and it was ridiculous. And then you come home to play Utah. It's a rematch. No Cam Rising. And we lose on a last-second field goal. And then you have the national stage this last weekend with Washington. And to hear Lincoln Riley say, we were a holding penalty away, 1 play away. He even said it in his press conference, I believe it was today or yesterday. We're 2 plays away from being in first place for the Pac-12. It's like, oh, really? Really? Actually, if you played it right, Lincoln, we should have beat Washington by like 14 points if you had 2 or 3 stops on defense. That's the issue. And then you're play calling it, and it actually came out last night or yesterday or just today. There was the Branch brothers were on a podcast, and there was a play in the game. I was at the game. I don't know if it kind of looked like a busted play, but it was a flea flicker where Zach Branch had the ball, pitched him. He went to the left side, pitched it back to Caleb, and they hit Taj Washington for a touchdown. And there was about 4 minutes left, I believe, in the half. And then I'm like, that's too much time. They came down and scored again, and then they kicked the ball off to USC, and they called a blitz, and we fumbled, and then they scored again before the half, and then they get the ball to start the third quarter, the second half. So that is basically coaching malpractice on Lincoln Riley's part. You're at the Washington 45. Why don't you run the ball? You're running the ball. Why don't you eat clock? Haven't you learned last year at Utah? Did you not learn in the Pac-12 championship game? Did you not learn against Utah this year? Did you not learn at Colorado? You have a running game. Freaking use it. It was working that day.
Well, and this isn't even a dig on USC in the sense of it's not meant to be. But when you say that, for instance, the one thing that comes to my mind immediately of this season was against Utah. You got the ball. I don't remember what the circumstance was, but it was like the 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and it was like a quarterback draw, and Caleb went in and scored, and I'm like, you just left them 2 minutes to go down and win the game. Why wouldn't you run? Why wouldn't you burn clock, make them use their timeouts, and try to salt it away? And there seems to be this, I don't know if it's a stat thing or if it's just really that much. Maybe it's a lack. It might just be a lack of confidence in the defense. So you feel like you have to score every time you have it. It could be that. I have no idea. I'm just.
Sorry about that. 1 second. So,
You're good.
yeah, you have three teams. You've got the offense, defense, and special teams. And it goes without saying, he doesn't have a special teams coach. The defense, it is what it is. But, offensively, that's Lincoln Riley. He's got a blind spot. This is his 7th year. He says he knows what a championship defense looks like, and we're going to get there. But really, in his press conference when he was hired, he talked about seeing those Pete Carroll teams, and he understood. You come to USC to win championships.
Oklahoma, no defense.
All right.
USC, no defense. Like you said, how many years was he at Oklahoma? 4?
5.
5. So so you got the 7. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 7 years as a head coach in 2 different highly national ranked career schools in Oklahoma and USC, and you've had 0 defense. And you brought a guy who was your defensive coordinator at the last school with you to your new school. Halfway through the first year, people were telling you he's a problem. His defense is a problem. You bring him back for year 2, and you literally wait 9-10 weeks before basically my assumption is that the alumni basically told him Alex is gone. There's no more choice. And so it took you, 7 years, because he's your buddy and your best man at your wedding, that you're just going to keep this guy despite everything that shows you it's not working.
Yeah, if you look at USC's championship history since 1960, they've won 7 national championships between McKay 4, Robinson 1, and Pete Carroll 2. And those defenses on a national ranking were between 3 and 17. Okay. Right now, Oregon, I believe, in total yards given up, is number 18 in the country, right around there. You guys have a championship level defense, and that's because of Dan Lanning. He knows what a championship level defense. Now, if Dan Lanning says, I know what a championship level offense is about, well, I believe him about the defense before I would of the offense. Just like, Lincoln Riley, after the Utah loss on my channel, I called it the NATO Summit. Lincoln Riley is no action, talk only. And he's been doing it for a long time. And so I gave him the benefit of the doubt with Alex Grinch. But let me tell you, those last 3 games last year, that wasn't a USC defense. It's hard to watch. Last Saturday in the Coliseum, I've been watching USC football for 45 years. I've never seen a more abysmal defensive showing in that game. Sorry. Now, the offense was electric, but you're a CEO. You're the head coach. You have a team. It's like I used to be in the craft beer industry, and there's 3 channels. There's the on-premise, the restaurants and the bars. There's the grocery stores, and then there's the liquor stores, C-stores. And you got managers for each one. All right. At the end of the year, you got to hit a number. At the end of each month, you got to hit a number. Okay, because it's a scoreboard. It's a business. It's about money. It's about results, just like football. You can't come up, oh, you know what? We came up 50 cases short. Well, you know why? Because you didn't have a manager that could execute in the grocery chain and in the C stores and in liquor stores, because your leadership is bad. You're looking to make all your volume in the restaurants and the bars. You think that's sexy and that you can blow it away and cover up for the other 2. Well, guess what? That guy will get fired because it's a business. College football is a business. When you're paying him $10 million a year, you gotta own this, not one play away. Come on. That's ridiculous. I can't believe he's saying that still. That basically tells you, hey, he didn't fire Alex Grinch. He was encouraged to make a decision.
I mean, there's always games where you could be against, like, say it was 2 really high-powered offensive teams. No one's going to stop each other. That can happen. But when you're making Heisman Trophy, as you said, candidates out of one player or two players on a team every week, and you're still losing or barely winning, like Cal, for instance, 50-49. That's not one. I mean, you won it, but that's not one play away. You should never have been that close to Cal.
Yeah,
Cal should have never been able to score 49 points on a USC team. I'm sorry. That should just never be. Even for me, I'd be like, that's unacceptable. If I said it this week, I was like, if Cal scores 49 points on Oregon, we deserve to lose. Like 100%. Like
that was the second most points ever scored on USC by Cal. Ridiculous. And so, and Washington had a great defensive play call. They had just went down. They scored a quick touchdown. They kicked off to USC. There was like maybe a minute and a half left. And this is the way it is that they knew that Caleb Williams had a minute and a half that they were going to try to score a touchdown because USC knew that Washington was going to get the ball to begin the second half. So, and USC was down like within its 10-yard line. So it was a perfect stunt by number 4. I'm sorry, the guy's name was it ZTF? He lost his father.
Yeah.
Back Caleb. It was perfect. Perfect play call. But not only you have to have that play call, you have to execute it, and they did. Because they knew that Caleb Williams would scramble, chase him, get a hold of him, because he's got the pressure on him. He's got to make a play. And so they were able to force that fumble. They get another touchdown, and then they open up the second half with another scoring drive. So that was the ball game right there. Again, that's bad play calling by Lincoln Riley with the flea flicker. Why do you need to do that? And the Zachariah Branch talked in the podcast that they were practicing that play. Why do you call that play right there? Why? I mean, you haven't stopped Washington all game, so now you're going to give them the ball back with 4 minutes? Are you crazy? But
Yeah.
All year. That's all year. So Lincoln Riley's not helping out his defense.
No, yeah, I remember watching the game and seeing that last 4 or 5 minutes of that first half when, now it's, you got, I mean, they're talking Kirk Herbstreit and those guys were talking, man, it's 28 apiece here. And it's like, we've got 700 yards of offense and we're not even to halftime yet. We could hit 100 easily the way this is going. And then USC turns the ball over and Washington scores at the end of the half to get that lead and then gets the ball back and scores again. I'm like, yep, game over.
Yeah, and people will bag on Caleb.
Lost at the end of the half, no reason.
But the plays that guy's made, not only in that game, but during the year, just ridiculous. I mean, he broke a few ankles along the sideline on a few different players. And then, extending plays, throwing touchdowns. I mean, the guy does everything. And he's got 10 rushing touchdowns this year. And he leads the NCAA with, I believe, 28 touchdowns. And Bo Nix is right there, too. I think he's got 25.
25, yeah.
25 with 2 interceptions. Caleb's got 28 with 4. Very comparable. But Oregon's got a defense. And Dan Lanning is going to find some blitzes. You guys got a great defensive line. And they're going to put pressure on Caleb. Going to put him off platform. It's going to be similar to, I think, the Notre Dame game. And you're going to have the crowd behind them. And we're going to get to see if USC has any fight on in them. I hope so, because that's the only way we're going to be competitive, because we've got talent on defense. And
the talent's there. You got the players, absolutely.
They just and they might play fast and free, but how long is that really going to last? I don't know. But I see Oregon really with all the opportunity to make a statement to the college football playoff. Maybe this gets you in the top 4. If you beat USC by like 28 points, put up 70, how can you not?
If we put up 70 or 80 and beat by 28, I don't even know if I could do the post game. I'd be so drunk. I would just be like, I'm going to sleep. I'll talk to you guys in the morning. I'm going to enjoy this.
Does USC have a chance?
Yeah.
Everybody has a chance, but
Yeah.
I just don't
Let's see
see
if that offense gets clicking.
Well, and that's what, like, if we just look at it on paper and you are strictly looking at it on paper, perceived talent level across the board, the teams are, in all reality are pretty even in terms of, what you would expect from your certain players. Very high caliber offenses. Like you said, you guys, it's not a lack of talent that's like hindering the defense whatsoever. It seems like it's, a schematic thing. It seems like it's like a lack of fundamental tackling at certain times things. Like you said, Lincoln Riley's had some interesting play calls throughout the year. So it's like, it seems like it's a lot of like the top down that seems to be the issue. So, in terms of like USC having a chance, I don't know, maybe it's just me being very cautiously optimistic, but I think that they have a chance and then some. It's just when you have that caliber of players, how do you look at a team and write them off regardless of what the records looked like previously leading up to that point? It's just, I refuse to do it. Just because I'm not setting myself up for a massive letdown come Saturday.
And I want to take equal time to talk about deficiencies with Oregon too, because there are still always problems, and USC is going to put up points. I think everyone knows that, like we do to Washington. There was a stat I did see earlier about USC. It was actually from another podcast where they talked about it. They said last year the average per game missed tackle was something like 10.4. This year it's 11 missed tackles a game. So it's actually gotten worse, technically, statistically, throughout this time. It's gotten worse. And that was a big deficiency. But Oregon has deficiencies too, offensively and defensively, that I know USC is looking at hard, especially when it comes to the passing game. I mean, there are. Especially when you're having to run wild like that. The cornerbacks are having to try to cover for 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that is, we're going to score points, but at the same time, this game is at Autzen. If it was in LA, I'd give us more of a chance. At the beginning of the year, I had USC going 11-1, and this was the game I had them losing. Just don't see them beating Oregon, and our defense is not going to be able to stop Oregon. I just think they'll have a great game plan. You've got a running game. You've got excellent receivers. You utilize your tight end. Bo Nix is having a great year. He knows how to command the offense. So it's going to come down to turnovers. Obviously, if you turn the ball over, that can be an issue. Does USC have a chance? Maybe I'm being doom and gloom, but defense is what's key. Dan Lanning's a defensive coach, and he's going to be able to cause problems for Caleb Williams. He is. And but you did mention it. They're going to have to be able to account for 8 to 10 seconds because he does extend plays. But at the same time, what's his motivation? Does he really want to? Does he really want to do that at this point? How it's just like self-preservation. He's been kind of getting beat up during the year. And he's had all the pressure on his shoulders to carry this team. I think everybody, including Caleb, thought the defense was going to be better. He's not going to publicly say that, but
oh yeah, totally.
It came to a head because boosters, alums, season ticket holders, fans, we know what championship USC teams look like when it comes to defense. So when you put yourself out there, Lincoln Riley, and then you deliver 124th in the nation total defense, don't tell me you know what it looks like.
The lynching is coming. They're coming for your head. Somebody better take a fall. Yeah.
It's like you've lost your. It's like can we even trust what you're saying? Because you keep on mentioning we were a couple plays away. Come on.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I'm really bummed in a way about this game because going into the season, I had the 2 games on my calendar were Washington and USC. I knew this was a 3-team race, and I knew the 3 of us were going to have to battle it out. And I was like, yes, I got it with the Washington game, hated the outcome. questionable decisions a couple of times, maybe. But in a game like that, those are the kind of calls you expect and chances you expect a high quality coach to take. And to see this game now, it's like, man, this game ain't even going to be any fun, really. All the luster's out of it. You know, you're thinking a top 10, possibly 2 top 5 teams going in, and now you got a top 6 and an unranked, and it's like it just takes all the luster out of it. Kind of sad.
Well, I mean, I hear that, but at the same time, it's all not for nothing. You know what I'm saying? USC still playing for a spot in that Pac-12 championship. You know, if they want to obviously put themselves in position to be there, it starts with this old victory over Oregon. You know, you automatically put themselves a game over Oregon with the head-to-head tiebreaker there. But it's still something I'm looking forward to. It's still a game that, in my head, I feel like this game is going to be a highly competitive game. It's going to be massively entertaining for, you know, obviously Oregon USC fans, but just fans of college football in general. You're going to see some offense being played for sure. You know, I think we're in for the over. I don't even know what Vegas has us sitting at right now, but
73.5.
Yeah, we're pushing the over. I don't care what it is. I'm taking the over in this game. So I'm excited for it. You know, it's I understand some of the luster's gone. You know, it looks a little better on paper if we're talking about a 6-8 matchup or a top 5 match, you know, or whatever the case is. But it's like, when we're strictly speaking about the products that are on the field displaying themselves, that, you know, heading into April's NFL draft, it's like we're in for an exciting game. And I don't think, you know, although the rankings don't reflect what we thought it was going to at this point, I don't think it takes anything away from the competitiveness of the game that we're about to see.
Well, and that's something I wanted to get into, is kind of like, what are the keys of the game here? Because, Rick, plug your ears. The line has gotten worse. It was 14.5. Now it's 16.5.
Oh, geez.
For Oregon. And as I saw in multiple podcasts earlier, everyone just said it's going to be a bloodbath. Oregon literally might murder us. And even like you just said, Lanning might decide to try to run up the score. I do see the first half being pretty close. It's going to be back and forth, kind of like Washington USC was. It's going to be back and forth. And then it comes down to adjustments at halftime. But what for you, especially for the Trojans, defensively or offensively, what would you say are, like, say, 3 keys to the game to keep Oregon off balance?
Well, these are keys. I don't know if they're attainable. But you got to stop.
Those are 2 different things. Yes,
I know. You got to stop the run. And you got to try to make Oregon one-dimensional, which I don't know if you can, but you at least got to try to make an effort, improve your tackling. Let's put it that way. You have to show pride. Okay, forget the scheme. You know what? You guys are 3, 4, 5 stars. You came here. You came to USC for a reason. This is the game. All right. You were recruited by Oregon, and there's players that were recruited by USC that are at Oregon. This is a huge game. So play like it. Have some pride. You knock off Oregon, yeah. You know, we have an outside shot to make the Pac-12 championship game. I'm not going to speak that nonsense. I'm not. That's one. Number 2, we have to get Zach Branch has to return a punt or kickoff return for a touchdown, and we have to win the turnover battle. Those are the 3 things. Can we get 3 of them? I don't know. Can we get 1? Maybe. Can we get 2 out of 3? I don't know. Here's the other thing that we haven't brought up, but I know it's in Dan Lanning's playbook. This is a heavyweight fight. You get Bo Nix, to destroy USC. That's going to help him the Heisman. And guess what? Then he gets to go against Penix, probably in the Pac-12 championship game, and he will be the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. So that's another thing that Oregon has going for him, and Dan Lanning. So there's a lot of incentives, and that's what we used to have in the craft beer business: incentives. Right? You go hit certain accounts, and you nail them, you bag them. Same thing here with Oregon. You check off these boxes. You beat USC by 20 points. You hang a 70, and Bo Nix shows out. Guess what? That might get you into the top 4. And Dan Lanning will be like, hey, you know what? How can you not put us in there? It's not like we're a holding call away like Lincoln Riley. No, you puff out your chest. This is what we did. This was our goal. We accomplished them. How can you not put us in the top 4? There you go. If Dan Lanning needs a hype man, add LBC Trojan. Have him call me up. Send me a tweet. Send me a tweet.
Yeah, well, see, Dan Lanning has another famous statement. It's called, we're not here for clicks. We're here for
there you go. There you go.
They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
It will be something, and I'm jumping the gun here. I just thought the thought of those. It will be something, if you look back at the end of this year, just say Oregon somehow won the national championship or something this year. Could you imagine the film that would be put out of his pregame speeches and halftime speeches? It would just be a monologue of like his speeches during the year. It'd be amazing. Now that's jumping the gun. So we got to take care of business. But Derek, what do you think? What do you think for Oregon? The keys to this game are, because
what you guys think about the keys to Oregon?
Yeah, it's like there's a lot. USC is going to put up points. I think we're all in agreement with that.
Yeah,
put up points.
Yeah, I have one on both sides of the ball. I think if Oregon's able to do these two things I'm about to talk about, things are going to go well for them. And it starts with the defense. It starts with the pass rush and containment. I think, we do expect this defensive line to be able to get to the quarterback. We need to make sure we're able to contain that. So these plays that are 3 to 6 seconds don't turn into plays that are 7 to 10 seconds. And, all of a sudden our DBs are trying to trail these, highly explosive wide receivers for 6 seconds playing backyard football with a Heisman caliber quarterback behind the line. I don't want that. So I think if they're able to, make Caleb uncomfortable, make him make these decisions early, when he is scrambling, make sure that they're able to contain him, hold their assignments. I think if they're able to do that, we know USC is going to score, but I think that takes away some of the electricity of the game, some of the stuff that could hurt you. And then flipping to the offensive side of the ball, it actually kind of goes back into what Rick was talking about with one of USC's defensive keys is Oregon needs to limit their turnovers. So this is not something that has been a problem this year. I think we're sitting at 4 turnovers this year up to this point. Not something I'm concerned about on a week-to-week basis, but what I am saying is you can't get complacent in these settings. Obviously, Bo Nix comes out and he throws 3 interceptions, and like you said, Zachariah Branch takes off a punt return for a touchdown at some point in this game. All of a sudden, we're looking at the score going into the fourth quarter going, what the hell's happening right now? We've seen it time and again. We've seen it year after year happen. It's just, I don't think Dan Lanning's going to, I get it, Spaz. I hear you. I don't think Dan Lanning's the type of dude that's going to let that kind of manifest itself as the game goes on. We've seen through these cinematic recaps and such that they are very on top of these in-game adjustments, and they're not afraid to vocalize that. It's just, they need to make sure that they're holding onto the ball, not turning it over. So what I think we are going to see is we're going to see him score. We're going to see Bucky run the ball. We're going to see Jordan James run the ball, and we're going to see Bo Nix throw the ball. It's going to happen. It's the same with USC. They're able to spread the ball. They're going to move it. It's just a matter of doing it consistently, not giving these free turnovers away. And in reality, just the way the season's kind of played out for these two teams, I think if Oregon's able to do those two things on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, they're going to be okay. I'm not going to come out and say it's going to be a 28-point win or anything. When it all comes down to it, I feel like this will probably be about a 10-point game. At the end of it, it's just you can't do things to give them an additional opportunity when you have that, highly skilled players on the other side of the ball, and Caleb Williams in that wide receiving core, Marshawn Lloyd. I'm not sure if he's healthy again, but they have some real ballers on that offensive side of the ball. And it's like, when you're giving them the ball over and over, you are just daring them to come down and score. And that's not what I want to see on the Oregon side of things.
Yeah, exactly what Derek was saying. It's like we just got to come out and play Oregon ball offensively. We got to control the line of scrimmage and run the ball. You don't have to go out and run for 256 yards in a half like Washington did, but if you can get 150 yards in the first half on the ground and control the ball through the air and keep the ball away from Caleb as much as possible, it definitely increases your odds because they're going to score. You give Caleb Williams the ball, and he's proven, time and time again for the last 2 years that if you give me the ball, I'm going to make something happen. He's had one bad game in 17 games, really, and that was the first half of the Notre Dame game. Outside of that, the guy has completely balled out for USC for the last 2 years, and he knows how to win games. Unfortunately, this year his defense has lost him games, and I think that's why you saw what you saw at the end of last week. He is an emotional kid that cares about this game and loves playing football. That's what that showed me. He's got heart, and Bo Nix has heart, and he's trying to make up for a career. Here's a guy a year and a half ago when he came to Oregon, was told he was washed up. He had multiple nicknames. They called him Bo Picks, Bo Six, everything. And in 2 years, he has gone from a joke in college football to now he's at least top 3 in the Heisman this year. And the latest projection I saw was him being put on Mel Kiper's board as the number 6 pick at this point in the draft, this upcoming NFL draft. Here's a guy 2 years ago that nobody said would ever get drafted in the NFL.
I do have to correct you on one thing there, Spaz, aka Trojan wannabe. You don't think Bucky Irving and Jordan James are salivating looking at that defense? I think Bucky Irving wants to go for 300 yards. No offense to Rick, but I think they're like, yeah, bring it on.
It's exactly what you have to do, and that's one of the points where you brought up the Notre Dame game. That's where Caleb had the worst game, and I think Oregon has the chance of duplicating a similar fashion. It's because Oregon has the number 10 run defense. You give up basically 90 yards a game, and if USC can't run the ball, then you make USC one-dimensional. You put all the pressure with Dorless and Jordan Birch and your defensive line on Caleb, and if he's passing because you've stopped the run, and so that's one of the ways to do it. I'm sure Oregon's going to have a great plan. They're looking at film, they see it, and it's not like it's who you are. You're number 10 after 9 games, so you know how to stop the run. USC gives up close to 190 yards rushing a game.
Yeesh.
I can't believe I just said that. I just puked in my mouth.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you clearly, Rick.
Yeah, 190 yards a game. That's after 10 games. That's ridiculous.
Well, it probably helps Oregon's case that they also have the number 1 and 3 rusher in the country in terms of yards per carry, too. You know what I mean? So I see what you're saying. It's a recipe for disaster on the USC.
Here's the thing, is that USC is going to be forced to catch up, and we don't play very well from behind. And your defense can cause mistakes. I mean, against Notre Dame, there was a pick 6. They ran back a kickoff for 99 yards. And if I'm Oregon, how do I defend Caleb Williams? Not with my DBs playing for 6, 8 to 10 seconds. I let Bucky Irving and Jordan James run the hell out of the ball and run for long drives, right? And then you're going to wear out that defense, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally. There'll be no more fight. Just wear them out and keep the ball away from Caleb Williams. That's what I would do. And then you mix in a little play action with Bo Nix to throw it over the top to Franklin and rip our hearts out. And Dan Lanning's capable of doing that.
Dan Lanning and Will Stein are sitting in Oregon watching this going, we love this guy, Rick.
Hey, have Dan
He's
Lanning.
onto our game. He's onto our game plan.
Yeah, I'll tell you how to freaking play Lincoln Riley. I've been watching it and getting sick in my mouth. It's hard.
This is why we asked Rick to come on. He's very reasonable. He's very reasonable.
Games.
Yeah. I don't have USC number 3 in my power rankings.
That's right. Pac-12 show. You will find Rick, Tim, and Tony over there, and search on the Pac-12 show every Wednesday night.
3 of us have USC number 6 in the power rankings because, hey, we're only half a team. We only have offense, no defense. So that puts you right in the middle. You
Right.
know who you are.
Yeah.
Ain't no amount of makeup or Halloween costume to decorate that.
I'm going to cover that up. Right.
This last week, you guys were kind of split on Washington, Oregon. I think it was like 50-50.
You know, I had Washington just because of the head-to-head.
Yeah.
And, it's a coin flip, right? They won by 3 points. 3 points is what you get. It was at Washington, so neutral field. Yeah, it's a coin flip. That's why I gave it to Washington. But Oregon's playing much better. Now that I've seen Washington and I've been watching Oregon, I would take Oregon in a rematch, hands down.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now we know what Washington does and what it takes to shut them down. Because we saw the last 3 weeks, Washington their defense has been getting exposed. And it's been getting exposed hard. You play that defense now, 4 weeks ago against Oregon, and we win by 20.
I think the key thing we could take away from that is Rick saying he's a Duck fan all of a sudden.
What's that?
I think that's what we can take away from this. All of a sudden, you're a Duck fan. It's okay. I would have a quack quack sound effect, but my sound pad decided not to work correctly today. So
can you tell problem with Lincoln Riley?
well, here we go. Here we go with the funnest segment of the show. I believe Spaz was bitching in our text group saying he won last week. You did not win last week, Spaz, actually.
No, I know I didn't.
Okay, yeah. Sean did. I went back and redid the math. I redid the math. So right now we're going to go into one of our favorite segments where I have a goose egg, just like national titles. I have 0 wins this season by minimal points, kind of like the Auburn game. I've lost by literally 3 to 4 points total in predictions. Sean is not here, but he has 3 wins. He won this last week. Derek has 4 because he got one game perfectly correct score-wise. Spaz has 2 wins. And none of our guest pickers have been anywhere near correct.
Until this week.
Until this week, maybe. So out of tradition, the guest picker always gets to go first. So I don't want to put you on the spot, Rick. Take a second and give us your potential score prediction for this game coming up.
I'm going to say Oregon 59, USC 27.
Ooh.
You know what, Rick? I hope you're right. I don't even want the point this week. I want you to be right.
I'm not going to get you 70, but you're going to get 59.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
We're going to try for 70, though. And, hey, I'm going to put a bonus in there. Dan Lanning at some point will try an onside kick.
That's worth a bonus point in my eyes. I mean, if you can call that one out.
Yeah. Jeez, that was I didn't see that type of score coming. I mean, I was trying to think about it a lot today, but Spaz, I'm always rotating the order of our predictions. Spaz, you're up next because Sean's not here.
Can I pop in real quick? I'm sorry, Spaz, but I like this comment by Tony here. Rick is a duck at heart. He knows it deep inside. Tony, I think that's hilarious, man. and Ben knows me for like the last year and a half. Ben, do I have any love for the Ducks?
Kind of. Kind of.
Oh, no, this hurts me, but I'm honest, man. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you about our team, and you just can't turn a switch on with Oregon that has so much to play for, and they're at home. It's a night game. That crowd's
it's not Mario Cristobal coaching.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a huge force. It's a huge force to deal with. I just don't think USC's there mentally for 60 minutes. They're not in it for a fight. That's my hunch.
I will agree. The Duck might quit on doing push-ups this weekend again, like he did during Portland State. He just walked off the field. He was like, "I'm done. No, screw that."
So you're telling me Portland State and USC are the only?
No. I'm just saying he's already tired from this season. He's already worn out.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Bad break.
You're all good.
That gave him a second to think about it.
Takes, and you're a guy that is real. You're not just a homer. You're a real college football fan that doesn't take. I went to SC or I went to North Carolina or I went to Duke. You're the guy that is like, our team right now is what it is. And like you said, you put them at the halfway point because, like you got offense but no defense, and that's calling it what it is. That's why I'm going to say Oregon 72, thanks to our friend Rick at LBC Trojan.
Oh, my.
USC 31.
Oh. Wow. Okay, that's quite a spread. That's quite a spread.
You kind of broke up on that. What did you have Oregon at?
72.
Okay, 72-31. All right, Spaz. Oh, Jesus.
That is quite the spread. Derek, you're last. Don't worry. So I have to go next. And I've been racking my brain over this all day. I'm more in line kind of with Rick, but I'm going to give USC's offense more credit just because I just don't see us shutting it down that much. I just don't see it. I will give us I don't know why I just had like random numbers in my head. I'm putting up about I'm going to say 55-38. Like I don't see USC stopping us much because Will Stein has been doing a great job out scheming people so far this year, and USC's defense is not going to change much, but Oregon's defense is enough, and at home. Damn, now I'm giving too many points because actually, yeah, we're at home. Shit. Oh well, I'm stuck. 55-38 Oregon. I'm stuck now.
Well, Derek, before you go, the reason I did that is because with my score was like this. Some of the chat I've been seeing a lot too on here and earlier today online was that people feel like this might be a game for a half, and that's why I figure the score will be something like 42-28 at half. Oregon has the ball coming out. They score. Caleb throws his helmet in the air and says, "I quit. I'm done. I'm not playing anymore. Fuck you, Riley. I'm going to sit here on the bench. You figure the rest of the game out. I'm done."
Basically, I'm losing again this week.
Riley's face at the half or whatnot, on the sideline. And he's telling him, "I quit. I'm done with your bullshit. Fucking figure it out yourself. I'm going to go over here."
I love the fire. I changed my mind. Spaz, I hope you're right. That would be great. I'm going to be the most conservative out of everybody here, I think. I think USC is going to put up points. I think they're going to put up more points than all of us are saying. Who knows? That's the fun of the prediction. You really never know. For a final this week, I'm going to go 48-38. I know earlier in the stream I had mentioned how I feel like this is going to be a 10-point game. I still truly believe that when it all comes down to it. I don't believe Caleb's going to throw his helmet on the side and say F it, I quit. In terms of draft stock, I think he understands how that would look. There is a degree of perception that takes place in a case like that. And I think, if you have a kid who's playing in a true blue chip program like SC and, one game, one season's not going your way and you throw your helmet down on the side and say F it, I think that sends a bad message to a lot of GMs out there. I think that kind of leaves a sour taste in people's mouth. If that's the last image they would ever see of Caleb Williams, that's the last thing you get to see. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that's his character. The kid's a winner. I don't care what the scores have said leading up to this point. That defense has really let him down, and he's had to shoulder a lot this year. He's a winner. He cares deeply, and you can tell. And I think that's kind of going to carry into this game. I truly believe Oregon is the better team in this instance, but I don't think that's going to stop him from, going out there and playing potentially his A game against one of the better defenses in the country. So we'll see. I could be wrong. This could be an instance where we see the defense step up and maybe it is a blowout. Maybe we're all wrong and all of a sudden both defenses show up and we're looking at a 35, 25 game. Who knows? But at this point, I kind of feel like it's going to be a shootout more than people are giving this game credit for at this point.
I'm tired of Sean not being here, so I'm going to write his score prediction down as 0-0 draw.
That's a real possibility.
After 20 overtimes, no one scores 2-point conversions for 18 of those. And the TV, literally, the channel is just like, no, we got to cut this.
Bo and Caleb Williams they can't do anything this weekend, huh?
Everyone just takes a knee the entire game. I'll have to tell Sean about that.
What if I told you guys? What if I told you guys I've been doing the reverse ninja on you all day and I've been sandbagging? I really think that USC is going to win this game.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You've been doing a really good acting job.
Yeah, you've convinced me wholeheartedly. Like I swear to God, I had this game. Yeah, I had this game probably being closer. After listening to Rick over here, I'm like, maybe I should move my spread over a little bit.
I'm just messing with you guys. No, I just think I've seen games up there. I've never been to Austin, but it's a great venue. Your crowd's going to be into it. I just don't see. If USC can win this game, this would be a monumental upset on so many fronts because
it would start.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it would be a monumental upset. That's for sure. There's no denying that.
Even with Caleb Williams, it's just because there is no defense. There is none.
Well, that's what I said too. Even without Grinch, it's still the same staff. There's no way to fix this within 4 days and a road game.
Yeah. Well, like Pick and stuff said, Riley needs to find a new babysitter now.
I didn't put up that one. I wanted to be nice with my comments, so I didn't put that one up. Sorry, Pick and stuff. Love you, H&R Pick and stuff. He's always here. They're always here. Is there any other final thoughts that we have on this this game? Then going into it, because it seems like we're all kind of, on the same thing. It's either going to be a close game or a bloodbath. I think one or the other.
I hope we have a fun, entertaining game similar to the Washington game, even though that spikes my heart rate. I get games like that, but those are the kind of games you love. Nobody wants to watch a 40-point blowout. The game's over.
Whoa. No. People love 40-point blowouts if you're the team that's blowing the other team out.
Oh, yeah.
I love a good blowout. Let's blow them up by 45, 50. I don't care. I love it. The less stress, the better.
I don't want to see Lincoln Riley filed the week after. That'd be horrible.
That's fine, Spaz. What are you talking about? That's great.
Rick would probably love it.
What's that?
If Oregon beats USC by 40 or 50 and they fire Lincoln Riley on Monday morning.
Well, they owe him too much money.
Yeah,
So,
I was about to say that buyout is probably absurd.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though, and I'm just being realistic for this game, but USC is going to be fine. We're going to be able to hire a championship defensive coordinator. It came a year too late, in my opinion. Looking back at it now, I was a proponent of giving Lincoln Riley an extra year, but I mean, you could tell after the fourth game that this was not going to go well. And so, hey, this is his decision to retain him for one more year. Now we go into the Big Ten with a new defensive coordinator, but USC is going to invest in this defensive coordinator. They're going to pretty much go for the top guy, probably Jim Leonard, and make him say no, and they'll keep on going down the list. But you get a top defensive coordinator, and USC is going to be fine. Even with Caleb going, to the NFL, we'll get a quarterback. That's not an issue. We have all the skill players. We're going to be fine. So, but then you go into a different conference. There's going to be more travel involved. There's going to be different obstacles. But that's college football. That's the beautiful thing about it.
And different recruiting area as well now, too, that makes more interesting for all of us going to the Big Ten, because that really opens up a whole new area of recruiting for both of us that has not been the easiest, because generally that's, another area is bigger schools over there, bigger conferences. And now we're a part of that. So it opens up a whole new level of offensive line and defensive line guys, where you see a lot come out of the Big Ten. And it's really going to make for some interesting recruiting over the next 5 years with USC and Oregon and Washington as well.
Definitely.
I like how everyone just forgets about USCLA. UCLA has just kind of disappeared in this whole conversation about going to the Big Ten.
Wait, are they in the Big Ten too?
Poor Bruins. The poor Bruins.
Yeah.
Did they get invited over Little Beaver, brother? And Bill Walton?
Let me ask you guys a question. If you guys beat USC, do you go on to win the Pac-12 and make the college football playoff?
I think so. The desert scares me a little, and just a little bit more, because it's Kenny Dillingham, our former offensive coordinator. But outside of that, I've seen what Arizona State has on offense, so I'm not really worried. Then you got the Civil War, and you never know. We've had 2 ugly Civil War games lately, kind of like you guys with the UCLA deal. You just never know in that game. But with this team and this year and this coaching staff and these players, I just think we're on a different level. I think you're going to see Oregon run the table and go 11-1 and go into the college football playoff. And then it's a matchup, who you get, what seed are you getting, 3, 4? Are you getting Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan? Who are you getting? That'll be the key.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm almost at 100% in agreement. My thing is, if we can win this week, and we can win, against Oregon State in the last Civil War, I think Washington's in a lot of trouble. I really don't think they want to see Oregon again, and it's not one of those things where it's like I believe that Oregon is just leaps and bounds better than Washington. It's more one of those things where I think there's just such a sour taste in their mouths, and they understand they should have won that game. They should have won last year's game. I don't think they're going to let it slip in a neutral site. I don't know. I haven't had a feeling like this, it's probably since 2014 in my gut, but I do feel like this is a playoff caliber team. Not to say that they're a national championship, or I feel like that's going to happen for certainty. There's a lot of football to be played left, and like Spaz said, some weird stuff happens in the desert sometimes, so I can't even look that Arizona State game over. But I think if we get to that point and we get to the Pac-12 championship, I would put my money on it that, yeah, Oregon's they'll probably be seeing somebody in one of those 2 college football playoff bowls.
Yeah, we're going to have to see with Arizona State, too, because their quarterback went out and Utah blew them out 55-3. So that game is, I don't know what's up with their quarterback. I'm not as alarmed about Arizona State seeing their offensive struggles. Get past USC. Oregon State offensively has not been that impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even against bad defenses, they're only putting up against Colorado, they only put up 26 points. And that's Colorado defense. We all know Colorado defense is not very good. But I have to agree with Derek. And I think I said that to you guys a few weeks ago. This feels like 2014. We lost to Arizona that year. Then we went back to the championship game and just blew them out. And I'm not saying we're going to blow out Washington in a rematch, but it's kind of like that revenge game.
Yeah, that's what I said. I really don't believe anybody in that Washington locker room wants to play Oregon again. I think they would quite literally rather play anybody else in the conference as opposed to playing Oregon for a second time.
Well, and even USC, because, I mean, again, Washington, it's not like Washington blew out USC or anything.
No,
it's like no one wants to have to go against, high caliber offenses more than once a year. No one does. No team wants to do that because it's always going to be a nightmare. So,
well, and the other thing too, with the regards to the Oregon State game is that they got to play Washington next week, and there's reports out online that if Washington and Oregon State get past their games this week, that it's going to pit a possibly top 10 CFP Oregon State versus a top 4 or 5 Washington school in Corvallis with ESPN Game Day on the way for the first time ever in Corvallis. I thought they had been there before, but no. They had been to Oregon State Civil War a few years back, I believe, but they have not been to Corvallis.
Wow.
good job, little brothers. Good job.
So proud of the little guys.
And they can beat Washington. Their defense when it wants to play, and that Beaver, I'm telling you, said there is something about Reser Stadium, November. Ask USC. It's happened to them a couple of times.
Ask a lot of Pac-12 teams about Pullman and Reser. Yeah, both those stadiums give everyone fits at random times for some reason.
Yeah, what were you guys top 5 both times, Rick? Both those lost Corvallis, I think so.
Yeah.
And I know one was at night because I was working security on the field that night.
It was foggy that night.
Yes.
Yep. Right around Halloween too. So.
Yeah.
And Oregon State was, orange and black. It was spooky. Yeah.
I was so happy there was no. I was so happy we didn't play on Halloween night this year. It was a couple days beforehand, so that was good. It was like you don't want to play on Halloween. Well, is there any other final thoughts here, gentlemen, about this game? Because I do expect the first half. I expect it to be close. I think the adjustments the second half from Dupuy and Stein are what's going to make the difference. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just all about controlling basically the lines on both sides of the ball. If Oregon is able to do that, they're able to get to the quarterback, contain, follow the defensive game plan. I feel like they're going to score on offense. Bucky and Jordan should have a field day. Running the ball, it's just you take care of the ball, and the red zone offense continues to trend the way it has been trending. That's it. You do those two things, and they should be good. It's just like I said, you never know when you have this quality of caliber on the other side of the ball, regardless of whether you're at home, regardless of what the records say. Still be cautiously optimistic heading into the game.
Spaz is busy trolling the chat. Rick, any final thoughts on your end?
I'm excited to see the game. It's going to be fun at night, and I'm interested in seeing how much of a fight USC is going to put up. I hope they make it a game for at least a half, but we'll see. And that's the one thing that Lincoln Riley has been challenged by. He doesn't really make in-game adjustments, especially defensively. And he doesn't really make adjustments week to week. So we'll see. Hopefully we can try running the ball. We cannot be one-dimensional. If we're one-dimensional, Oregon will quickly destroy us.
Let's hope.
Spaz, final thoughts here.
It's going to be a late night show Saturday.
It's 1 a.m. for me when we go live for post game. So yeah,
It'll only be 11 for me and Derek.
yeah, that's not too bad. 1 a.m. is like after a full day of football. Jesus.
So we'll be done about 3.
Oh God.
Oh,
Oh God.
gross.
Well, once again, I do want to thank right here, LBC Trojan. Please, Rick, make sure everyone knows where they can find you one more time, just in case they came in late. Because we appreciate you, of course, taking time to come talk Trojan ball with us.
You can find me on Twitter at LBC Trojan. Started up a new channel last month on YouTube, LBC Trojan. Come check it out. I like to do preview. Basically, my preview shows are like a tailgate style. So my guest tomorrow is going to have a couple craft beers from Oregon. And I'm going to have something special from Southern California that he can't get in Oregon. And like I'll mention to your audience, it's kind of like, hey, we're just shooting the shit like you do, before a game. And that's the way it is. We're just going to talk. We're going to have a couple beers and we're going to have a tailgate atmosphere. We're passionate fans. And so we're going to kind of do what we did today, and lay it out there. And so I'm not talking to a national writer. I'm not talking to a local YouTube guy or web guy. These are real fans. And so looking forward to hearing a different perspective of Oregon, and it'll be fun. So check it out.
As soon as you said he'll have craft beer, I knew who it is for sure. 100%. I won't say anything. I know exactly who it is, though, for sure.
All right.
100%.
Well, I just named maybe one of like 20,000 Oregon fans.
It's true, but I know who it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone, please follow LBC Trojan here, Rick, on Twitter. And then, search LBC Trojan on YouTube. It will pop up. I think there's like one other channel, but yours is the one with over 500 subs.
There you go. Hey,
Just
guys,
to
I
make
had
sure.
a blast tonight. Thank you for bringing me on your show, man. This is great. Spaz, you're awesome, man. Yeah, dude, you guys are legit. Derek, man, continued success. Welcome to Southern California. I think you said you've been out here for 4 months.
Yeah.
All right, man. And Ben,
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. It's been great.
Ben,
Yeah.
That's why he lives. That's why Derek lives in a little cubicle room.
Yeah. Southern California. Here's my apartment.
Yeah, there you go.
Combined shows on Saturday. We'll just kind of melt into your guys' show and watch that guy just kind of cry.
Well, let's see how this game plays out before.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah,
I was like, hold on.
I'm not with that.
Hold on. It could be us that's crying at the end. We never know. Weird things happen. Well, everyone, please, our links too are in the bottom here on the ticker. Derek, remind everyone where to find you quickly.
Yeah, everybody, you can follow me, as you can see on the bottom right here, at Wait Who's Derek on Twitter. I've been fortunate enough to be able to get a couple follows from everybody, who views our show throughout the week. Had some great interaction so far. So yeah, if everybody wants to give me a follow, love to continue the interaction there.
Yeah, and I'm Spaz at Rocky Classic on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Thanks
And
for
I'm just
being here.
definitely. That's why I asked Rick to be here. I knew he would be straightforward with us. And that's it. I'm just Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam here on YouTube. You can find us. Pop up first, Exploring with Ben and Sam, or Exploring with Ben on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And on you'll find there everything like Instagram and even TikTok. So definitely give us a follow. I piss people off on Twitter because I post a bunch of controversial stuff. People love those things. So, well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time, especially again. Thank you to Rick down here. Please go follow him. Check out his YouTube. He definitely tells it how it is, straight to the point. Doesn't bullshit you. Doesn't make excuses for anything. Just tells it how it is.
Riley do that. He'll tell us that we're 2 holding calls and 3 turnovers away from being in it in the last 5 minutes.
That is a terrible take. Yeah, I couldn't stand that every time I heard that. I agree with you 100% on that one. So everyone, appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you this Saturday on the weekly post-game show, as well as you'll be on the post-game for the Trojans, correct?
That's right. That's right.
So yes,
I'll pop in when you guys are up at what?
Oh.
In the morning.
Oh God!
I'll do this.
We're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys win, I'll pop into your show. If we somehow pull off an upset, you guys got to pop on our show. Fair?
Sure.
Okay.
Fair.
Okay. We'll take. I'll take that deal. I'll take that deal.
Yeah.
We'll have to, eat our crow basically.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, one way or the other.
That'll be fun.
So, everyone, check out Rick on the USC postgame show on the USC channel, as well as on the Pac-12 show on Wednesdays. Make sure to join us Saturday every time for the postgame show here on the Oregon channel, as well as every Tuesday night at 9 Central, 7 Pacific for the Oregon Ducks Live weekly show. And other than that, gentlemen, I would like to say thank you very much.
Quack.